Welcome to a brand new edition of the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Raymond Wu. On today's program, we're going to shift our focus onto classical music, and we are delighted to have a radio program presenter and also a musician, Ms. Zoe Hwang, as our special guest. Zoe, welcome to our program.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, Zoe, if we may start, I understand that the two primary pursuits in music for you, one is piano, the other one is vocal training. And you still continue with both of them today?
Oh yes, and they have become part of me ever since I was 5. I started as pianist and then a member of children's choir, and I enjoy them until even I'm approaching 50. I still think I'm so privileged to be in this field. Yes.
But let me ask you though, I can understand there's a lot of children, both boys and girls, in Taiwan as well as elsewhere, that study piano.
Yes.
But why vocal training?
Vocal training.
Yeah, it is something that's rare.
It's very good for socializing, because the first thing I went to children's choir, I was so fascinated is that I could be with someone who is so different from me, because at school you tend to be with people very, very similar to you.
Yeah.
But
same age.
Same age and same kind of families, and you come from very similar background. But if you go to a children's choir, we have the same goal. We want to sing, but we come from different kind of families, and I often visit their families. I still remember. And I said, my goodness, their house is so different from mine, and their parents. And after we went travel together, it was so much fun. It's so different from school. Yeah.
How long have you been studying vocal training?
Oh, ever since I was 6, and I just went on in the children's choir until I couldn't be called a child, and so I went to a music academy, and it's the equivalent of high school.
Yes.
And I graduated from. I didn't graduate because I really want to go abroad to study, so I went to college in the States. I went to New York for 6 years.
Good.
And I never stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, you also went to schools in Paris.
Paris was after, because I read a book by Stefan Zweig. When I was in junior high, we were told to read one of the novels. It's called A Letter from an Unknown Woman. And I always liked Zweig's writing, and he wrote in his memoir, say, if you live in Paris before you are 30 for a year, Paris will always lives in your heart. So I decided I want to go to Paris, no matter what. So I went to Paris, and I just studied everything. I studied vocal art, and I went to all the museum. I think that's the most beautiful year in my life.
Of course, Paris is well known for being a very artistic, city in the world.
And it's so inspiring, because the first time I realized that how lucky to be in the field of art, because music is the last part of art. The first is architecture, and then art sculpture, and then art. But music always at the end, But when I went to Paris, I felt even in the air you can feel art.
Of course, yes, it's very artistic.
Yeah, and it's such I think it's so beautiful. Even now I can just close my eye and I think of Paris.
Yes. I also know that in the past years you have attended a number of international competition, including winning the bronze medal.
It was a long time ago.
At the Queen Elizabeth vocal competition. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Oh yes, I love to, because it's I think it's the most important experience in my study, because participating in an international competition is like a password to the real world for a musician. Okay. Being a musician in a conservatory for 6 years, it's like you are working in your own yard, own circle. You are in the range, you're running around with your horses, but you don't. So international competition provides you a platform for everyone to see you, and for you to see everyone. I like to see how other people are doing, Yes. And the main goal, I wanted to go to that competition because I want to go to Europe. Okay. Because the root in classical music is in Europe. Yeah, exactly. If I can only speak English in the States, I learn all the techniques to sing, to perform. It's just not enough. Sometimes I need more imagination and more cultural depth to be a complete artist. So I decided that's the only way I can go to Europe, because it's so expensive during the 80s, you know.
Of course.
And I was so nervous. I said, so it's like a gamble. I said, if I win, I can stay. If I don't win, I don't know what I might going to do. But why can't I lose? Because I was so young. So I did it. So it was marvelous experience.
But Zoe, let me ask you. You're probably one of the very few in Taiwan that actually study vocal training at such an international competition level. Are there many of your contemporaries doing that?
I consider myself very lucky because I was young. For a vocalist, you have to be very young to enter a conservatory, and you have to be very young to go to a competition, because people don't want to see old people anymore. They want to see young talents, especially at the 80s. As an Oriental person, to be in Europe's competition is very exotic.
Of course.
So they were so fascinated by
your
my
participation.
appearance, and I said, oh my goodness, I mean, where's Taiwan? They started wondering about how's the education in Taiwan, how is the family structure in Taiwan. And the first time I realized, boy, I'm from Taiwan, I'm so privileged, and I can be with all these people together doing this competition. Because the competition was so long, it was a month. And it's been 20 years exactly, and I still have contact with all the people I met in Belgium.
Other contestants.
Yeah, and at the families I stay, because Belgium has become my third home now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your second home? Paris?
Second home is New York, because I stayed for 6 years, and I have such attachment for the school and all the teachers, and I mean, they are marvelous teachers. They are mostly from Europe, and they came to the States after World War II because they couldn't stay. Most of them are Jewish. You have to know that most of the best musicians are Jewish, and they all came to New York after World War II, and they passed on this marvelous knowledge to us. So I consider myself very, very fortunate.
Yes, and can you share with us a little bit about the importance of the competition itself, Queen Elizabeth vocal competition? Why is it very special? Why is it important?
I was very naive to participate, because the minute I arrived in Belgium, I didn't know. My goodness, it's like the Olympics, because it's found, as it's Queen Elizabeth. You have the English Queen Elizabeth. You also have the Belgian Queen Elizabeth. But this Belgian Queen Elizabeth was very special because she was German, and she loved music. So when she studied violin, and she thought she wanted to make Belgium a really musical country. Belgium is the same size as Taiwan.
That's right, very
she
small.
was determined to make this very musical. So she told her violin teacher, Eugene Isai, also a Belgian, said, we must have an international event to attract the best talents to Belgium. So I said, why don't we do a competition? It's like the Olympics. So it's the first international music competition established. I mean, organized, established in 1951. Until now, it's still running. And if you win the competition, they not only they give you medals, they give you money, and you have concert management, and you become the godchild of Belgium, because at the end of the ceremony we were greeted by the Queen. It was Fabiola at the time, and I was very nervous. Fabiola, the Queen, asked me. I said, my goodness, what was she going to say? And she said, Zoe, did you have dinner? So I was like, boy, it was so down to earth.
Yes. Very kind.
Very kind. So I had such a good feeling about the whole ambiance, and I thought music is such a good way to make people
to touch people,
and people feel good about it, And so, it's like when I was watching New York Philharmonic visiting Pyongyang, the same. I mean, nobody can go to North Korea, but music can. So that's my.
That breaks all international barriers.
It's so important.
And also, Zoe, let me ask you that: how did the competition change your music career? I mean, you continue to pursue vocal training.
Yes.
And then how did the competition open up other possibilities for you?
I could say, if I didn't go to the competition, my life will be like 360 degrees different. Because after the competition, I decided I have to learn French. Because Belgium speaks 3 languages. And I realized I have to be a real musician. And I got so many engagements afterwards because international competition, you have all these managers, opera houses.
Exactly.
So I was very busy for the first 3 years. But after that is a dark period.
Dark period in the sense that you...
Yeah, it means nothing, because you are not a winner anymore, because competition comes for once in 4 years, like Olympics.
Of course.
So you have new winners, so they start looking for new young talents. So I had to be mature, so I had to think for myself. So the competition taught me many things. First of all, I cannot depend on other people. I have to be mentally and artistically independent, because I don't have teachers anymore, and I'm away from manager and everything. I have to know what kind of person I like to become. Yeah.
So that was a turning point in your career.
Huge. You are exactly right. It's huge turning point. When I think about it, I think that's the most important turning point in my life. Yeah.
Okay.
My artistic life. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you then.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the other competitions that you will recommend to other music students in Taiwan, especially those who study vocal training, to participate on the international level?
Before I went, I have to say, because I can only speak from my point of view, my experience. Yeah. The first thing you have to do is you have to go to at least 50 small competitions before the big ones.
Okay.
And it's like a battle. You have to have many
accumulate your experiences.
And you start with very small one.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is you have to find the right place to train.
Okay.
And right person. It's like coach. You know, it's like a baseball game, a basketball game. You go to all kind of. You go to Olympics. You see all the coaches. But I don't think in classical music in Taiwan, they don't have the. Not yet have the concept of having a coach.
Okay.
Having a coach is very, very important.
Of course.
Yeah.
I hold that thought a little bit, Zoe, because we're going to take a short break. And we'll come back. We're going to continue this conversation with Ms. Zoe Hwang about the choices and the options for music students and musicians as their careers develop. We'll be back in 2 minutes.